Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, and dear colleagues, I extend my heartfelt greetings to Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the distinguished President of Faso, who also serves as our revered head of state, and to all our cherished brothers present here today. Esteemed Excellencies, distinguished Army General, Assimi Goïta, the esteemed President of the Transition, the revered Head of State of the Republic of Mali, and the distinguished President of the Confederation of Sahel States, my dear brother, sir, the Honorable Prime Minister of Mali, Excellency, sir, the former President of the Republic of Mali, sir, the President of the National Transitional Council of Mali, ladies and gentlemen, the ministers of the member countries of the Confederation of Sahel States, ladies and gentlemen, the members of the delegations present at the second session of the College of Heads of State of the Confederation of Sahel States, ladies and gentlemen, ambassadors, honorable guests, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like, on behalf of the delegation accompanying me, to express to the government and people of Mali my heartfelt and sincere thanks, as well as my deep gratitude for the fraternal welcome and the generous, typically Sahelian hospitality that we have received since our arrival in this beautiful city of Bamako. Ladies and gentlemen, after the historic summit in Niamey on July 6, 2024, marking the advent of the Confederation of Sahel States, we are gathered here today in Bamako for the second session of the College of Heads of State to together renew our unwavering and firm commitment to steadfastly continue and strengthen the profound and lasting irreversible work and endeavor of building our esteemed Confederation. Ladies and gentlemen, this session is taking place in a world that is in a state of great turmoil, marked by complex and multifaceted challenges, and it is an opportunity. On the one hand, to recall the current issues and the challenges we are facing. In this way, we can better understand the meaning of our common struggle and strengthen the determination of the peoples of the AES Confederation to fight victoriously for their dignity and their development. On the other hand, to thoroughly assess the significant progress that has been made by our esteemed Confederation over the entirety of the past year, despite all the numerous internal and external adversities and considerable challenges we have unfortunately faced and successfully overcome. It is also an opportunity to collectively consider the prospects that lie ahead for us, for further progress in making our Confederation operational and in order to meet the legitimate aspirations of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, since August 18th, 2020 in Mali, September 30th, 2022 in Burkina Faso, and July 26th, 2023 in Niger, our three countries have decided individually, then collectively, with the creation of the Alliance of Sahel States on September 16th, 2023, transformed into a confederation on July 6th, 2024, to take their destiny into their own hands. Amen. We made this crucial decision responsibly and with a comprehensive, full knowledge of all the intricate issues and significant challenges involved, as well as all the potential, far-reaching consequences intrinsically attached to it. This is therefore a truly sovereign choice made entirely in the absolute best interests of our respective countries, for history and for the future. Indeed, After more than a decade of massacres of our innocent populations, the total indifference of some, and the active complicity of others, we could no longer tolerate the persistence of an inefficient and corrupt system of predation established in our countries. Especially since there was no prospect of a way out of the crisis in sight. Worse still, consistent evidence supported the idea that the system in place did not have the solution to our security problem. In fact, it was a significant part of the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, faced with this situation, we clearly understood the stakes that threaten even the very survival of our peoples. First of all, this situation was created to facilitate the exploitation of our resources and to hinder the legitimate aspirations of our peoples for a better life, for progress, and for development. Boredom. And the neo-colonialist exploitation of our resources, which largely explains the poverty of our populations. We could no longer accept letting our countries be dominated by those who want to keep us in poverty, all while pretending to help us and demanding our gratitude and recognition. Secondly, this situation has created a mindset and a mentality of dependency and inferiority among many African leaders and elites. As a result, one-sided contracts were imposed on our countries, and a complex network of influence and control was put in place to control our societies. It is this same multifaceted setup that explains the behavior of certain AES nationals and other Africans with an inferiority complex who fight against us instead of defending their people, wounded, plundered, and humiliated. It is this same grip that explains all these unequal contracts that allow them to plunder our countries. It is this stranglehold that explains why African leaders are summoned to countless useless, costly, and ineffective meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have collectively and diligently accomplished, all of us working together in our respective sovereign countries and collaboratively within our esteemed confederation, is simply with full and unwavering responsibility and complete national sovereignty to decisively put an absolute end to this detrimental system and henceforth ensure the paramount and higher interests of our beloved peoples. Thus, we have ended the presence in our countries of all forces of occupation and predation in order to take charge of our own security, by and for ourselves. This is because our lived experience has forged our conviction that no one will do it in our place. What we have done is to fully and completely assume our sovereignty. No single country, no international organization of any kind, and no specific interest group will ever again decide for our sovereign countries, God willing, in the future. From now on, decisions concerning our peoples will be made in Ouagadougou, in Bamako, in Niamey, on confederal territory, by the authorities of the Confederation and for the citizens of the Confederation, and nowhere else. This is indeed the truly greatest legacy that we are able to transmit on to coming, succeeding generations, and a precious one that we absolutely must all vigilantly guard and preserve. Our conviction is that there can be no progress, no development, without true independence, without full and complete sovereignty. There is no historical precedent of a country under domination that has managed to develop. Only truly sovereign states are able to formulate public policies, policies capable of driving progress and development. What we have done is put an end to all exploitative contracts and biased agreements that serve only the interests of our states and our people. From now on, the only contracts we support are those that protect the interests of our countries. Ladies and gentlemen, you can well understand that under these circumstances, we can only expect adversity from those who, in the past, made decisions for our countries, from those who have plundered our resources, as well as from all those who benefit from this situation, whether they are African citizens or foreigners to our region. This is how we must explain their relentless efforts to fight us and their determination to break our momentum in order to subjugate us. This is how we must explain the communication war they are waging to discredit our institutions and their leaders, to undermine the morale of our troops who are resolutely engaged in combat, to create intercommunal conflicts. This is also how we must understand the attempts to isolate certain localities, to cut off the supply to this or that entity, to sabotage or destroy the economic infrastructure of our countries. In short, everything is currently being done by these powerful imperialist nations, especially France, which is actively assisted by its various local auxiliaries, all working to deliberately create widespread chaos and thereby justify external intervention or significant popular discontent. However, all these treacherous maneuvers have failed and will always fail, God willing, because they will be met by the Sahelian peoples, dignified, vigilant, resilient, and even more determined to take their destiny into their own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the AES Confederation has taken all these factors into account while also drawing all the lessons from our history, both ancient and recent. And indeed, the reason why we created this confederation, which arouses all hopes and which gives us complete satisfaction for having made tangible progress. Amen. In its 17 months of existence, the AES Confederation has made undeniable progress in its three fundamental pillars. First, it is the unified force of the Confederation under the command of an integrated general staff with respect to the defense pillars. At this point, I would like to pay a heartfelt tribute to all those who have been involved with the AES Confederation. All our defense and security forces from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, while also keeping in our thoughts all our civilian and military martyrs and wishing a speedy recovery to our wounded. Next, it is about the coordination of our diplomacy, which now speaks with a unified and singular voice. Furthermore, it is fundamentally about the significant creation of the Grand Investment Bank of the Confederation, a pivotal financial institution directly relating to and supporting the crucial development pillars and strategic objectives. And certainly, instead, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and warm congratulations to my brother and friend, Army General ASM Guaita, President of the Transition, Head of State of the Republic of Mali, and President of the Confederation for the successful implementation of the Year One roadmap of our Confederation, as is clearly demonstrated by the tangible results recorded in the excellent report submitted for our review. The dignified and resilient peoples of the Sahel will be grateful to him for his leadership, unwavering commitment, and the brilliance with which he has upheld the ideals of the Confederation during this term. In light of the unprecedented adversity I mentioned earlier, ladies and gentlemen, the sovereignty to which the peoples of the AES aspire is far from being just a slogan. It is a sacred duty, a daily commitment that is reflected in concrete actions across all aspects of national life. It is guided by a strategic vision. This vision is clearly expressed through the ongoing process of renewal throughout the Confederation. The struggle led by the AES is a fight for African renaissance. It carries within it the seeds of a free and sovereign Africa, of which the AES is the driving force. Ouch. We must truly face the formidable fact that the AES truly constitutes a bulwark, an essential ethic. This stands firmly against the pervasive spread of terrorism across the entire continent. Instead of acknowledging this undeniable fact, some neighboring countries of the AES naively refrain from serving as rear bases for destabilization operations orchestrated by foreign powers. And yet, may these states reconsider and realize that their true status lies in African unity, in genuine sub-regional and regional security cooperation, and not in serving foreign interests at the expense of their own people's interests. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Sahel, we have made security a strategic priority over any other foreign political dictate that is incompatible with our social and cultural values. The very existence of our countries as nations is at stake because the security crisis raging in our region is an existential threat. As Sheikh Anta Diop so aptly said, security comes before development. In the Sahel, it is no exaggeration to say that security comes before everything else. I mean everything. Ladies and gentlemen, I would especially like to commend the remarkable work accomplished by the ministers and senior officials who, during the entire preparatory process for this session of the college, spared no effort to submit for our review high-quality working documents, as well as relevant legal instruments that will allow us to strengthen the institutional and normative framework of our confederation. Long live the Confederation of Sahel States. Long live solidarity among the people of the AES. Long live a free and sovereign Africa. Thank you. Thank you.